Hi guys, what times we're living in now. Like a year and 1.5 years ago almost, I started researching all these things that were starting to happen in mainstream news, figuring out like why is that this virus really that dangerous? When is vaccines gonna come? What are they gonna do? Are vaccines healthy? Do they actually help anything? Is it something we can't live without? And how does the immune system work? And how does a virus work? First of all, there's so many things to dive into, I would say, and I could create an hourly long, even maybe 10-hour long video about these things. But I wanted to touch ground with you guys because, you know, I share so many things, and for many people that don't have time or, you know, are not interested in seeing all this evidence that I'm trying to figure out and dig up. And part of that is great because, you know, it takes so much time. It's just one tiny thing you can spend days on it, just reading the reports, reading the science. You know, it's taken a toll on me to read so much all the time and digging into things and keeping up with the communities. I'm sharing with so many people what I can actually find out from science. And I think science is so important. Science and history is indeed the most important thing we can rely on right now. And, you know, we make so many mistakes during our lifetime. And just like as a young person, you will learn from your mistakes many times. Like, how much alcohol can I drink before really getting a hangover? What can I do to avoid it but still have fun, like drink water or whatever? Back to the subject is that I shared recently today, I am not an anti-vaxxer. I think there's definitely some vaccines out there that are really amazing, and they do have, you know, great potential and actually saves lives. This current vaccine we have against that virus that we all talk about, I can't say anything good about it. Nothing. I have to remind you, there's like 99.97% chance of survival, meaning you will most likely, even more than most likely, survive this without any jabs in your arm. Don't get the vac, don't get the jab, you'll survive anyways. And I don't think you have to be a doctor just to read science. If you are like mid and over level of intelligence and you have a huge interest in whatever happens to the body, I think it's important to have in mind that people like me and like-minded people that I also talk to, we spend hours and days and months looking into these things, trying to understand it. And, you know, just understanding it doesn't mean that you have an education in anything. And I totally get people are being skeptical. I am actually, with this video, still inviting you to be skeptical. Do your own research all the time, like dive into it. Ask questions instead of, like, I see a lot of people be like, that's so fake, or I don't believe this, that's stupid, or stop sharing these. You know, it's not very constructive. You won't learn anything. You're not giving me a contradicting science that I can rely on, read up on. Maybe you can teach me something. That's how my mind is, but not just persuading, but actually use science or like experience or history. History is pretty much just experience. But if you could use any of these things to persuade anyone, well, then that's a good idea, but you have to always dive into the science. But just being, you know, critical without giving anything back, I would say, doesn't help anyone. So you might as well not do it. It's a waste of your time, it's a waste of my time. And but I do like when people are asking questions. I love to inform people. You know, I spend so many hours digging into this, so I get people asking me, oh, could you provide an article for this? And I do, and they're like, yeah, it's too long, I don't want to read it. That's fine with me too. If you don't want to read it, now you have it. And if you at some point think, oh, maybe I should dive into this thing, you have the ability to do that. So in the end, you know, trying to contradict anything that other people believe or don't believe, because this is not a religion. Remember this. This pandemic is not a religion, so shaming on people just believing something else doesn't make sense. If you start shaming people, it's the same as being like religious and being like shaming someone believing another religion. So science is based on facts, and facts are based on real life, and real life is based on experience, knowledge, and history. So again, let's go back to the history books, let's go back to science, and forget about listening to all these politicians who are just saying things because they have an agenda, whatever it is. But just know that, of course, every politician since way back in history did have a plan for everyone. They had their personal goal for being a politician. So just remind yourself that when you listen to anything coming out of any politician's mouth, it doesn't have to be the truth just because it sounds good. Saying with me, doesn't have to be the truth just because it sounds good. Anyways, I hope this resonates with you one way or the other. Doesn't matter what side you are on. There's no sides. It's just you have your truth, I have mine. I base it on science and knowledge. Stop shaming people. Just start loving everyone, because together we are democracy. Together everyone's opinion matters, even if it doesn't make sense in your ears. Even if it's hard to me to listen to some people saying something that I know doesn't have any science backing it up. So that's a part of the learning curve. I send you all love, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you for your time. Hi guys, I just returned from the gym, boosting my immune system, building strength and good health, and also been in the sunshine today to get some D vitamin as well. I'm just mind blown of all the things that's going on right now, and all the control put on us people like there wasn't control enough already. 1.5 years ago, I was posting things about, they're probably gonna push the V to be the only answer to everything, and people are like, you're crazy, it makes no sense. I'm not saying all this to put myself in focus. I'm just telling you that things that you might think is just, a fluke, or no, they wouldn't do that. Why? What's their gain? All in all, what I've learned through this long period of time now is that they'll do anything. And it doesn't matter anymore if it's science or if it's an idea or anything like that. It's like health politics. It's nothing else than that. It's about having control of the people, and that's not something new. Don't just buy into it. Question it. That is all I'm trying to say here. So when you start researching so many things, you start seeing a pattern of how politics works and the psychology of actually how people work. But you should find research online and read articles, and not just read the articles, just not read only what doctors are saying or what other people are saying. That's like their meaning, it's biased. So you can't really use that for anything. All you can do is like, where do they have that science from that they speak about? Or how did you get to that conclusion that this is like it is? So again, question things all the time. It doesn't matter what it is. Someone comes up to you and say, do you want some money? You can always say yes and think, oh, I'm so lucky. But if you know that that money has blood on it because someone else was killed for it, maybe you're that type of person, you don't care, and maybe this video isn't for you then. But maybe you do care. You do care about where things come from and why people are saying the things that they're saying. And if you do, dive into the research of it. I know it takes a little bit of time, but it's definitely worthwhile. You'll have more knowledge. So it's politics, it's nothing else. And the more that we comply with something like that, the more we support a system. It's like with slavery, it's like with during the Second World War, just before that. Adolf Hitler was actually doing a pretty good job as a politician. He wasn't a bad guy in the beginning, but he made some really bad choices. But the worst thing was he wasn't the one going out and killing people, He was the one ordering other people to kill them. And those people weren't bad people either. They just turned into bad people because they were following orders without asking questions, without doing any resistance, without thinking for themselves. That is how the psychology of the world works. If you don't question things, you'll find yourself doing very stupid things, but socially be accepted because you're doing what everyone thinks you should be doing, and you would shaming everyone else who's not doing the same thing. Do you see where I'm going with this? And if you don't have something nice to say to people on social media, just avoid it. It makes you look stupid in the end. Shaming other people for their beliefs, this is not a religion. This is all what I'm talking about right now. That's based on science. Except from all the stuff, a lot of the stuff politicians are pushing forward, it's not based on science. If it is based on science, please send those articles explaining clearly a scientific proof, evidence that these things actually work like 100%, or at least let's say 60%, masks, V's, everything like that. And let's just tell me there's no side effects to any of these things whatsoever. And it's impossible to do so because science doesn't allow you to be one-sided. It all depends where you have the science from, who was paid to do the science, what kind of science was it based on, and what were they trying to prove. So again, be critical and think for yourself. If this resonates with you, I hope you send other people love, even though they're not agreeing with you. I'm sending you love. If you're not agreeing, that's totally fine with me. And I think there should be room for everyone. And that's what democracy is all about. It's making room for everyone. And, we'll find some middle ground where it makes sense, a little more sense than it does now. Because if we're not even allowed to say V's on social media and we're not even to criticize anything, well, that's not really a world that we want, I would say, for everyone's sake, for every freedom's sake. I care for freedom. I hope you do too. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.